When I was 6 years old, my stepfather, who was my mom's boyfriend at the time, sexually abused me for the first time. My mom came home from work that day. I told her what happened, and she didn't really do anything about it. They got married 3 years later. Throughout those 6 years, though, my stepfather was still sexually abusive to me. He was physically and verbally abusive to me and to my mom, and I didn't really understand why my mom stayed with him until after we got out of it. My mom staying with him made me feel like I was alone in my own survival. I really shut down. I did not depend on my mother for anything else. It really fractured our relationship. It also forced me, when I had my kids, I was kind of forced to go on the healing journey to really repair all of the damage that was done. And so coming through that, coming through the other side, I feel like I did a lot of work, and then I started to facilitate a women's abuse support group, and I realized that everything really does kind of happen for a reason, or at least there's purpose that can be found in everything that happens to us.
I had just gotten out of a really long-term relationship, and I was looking for someone, and it actually wound up being a con artist, but he was 10 years older than I. So I had said that I wanted to stop having the relationship, and he broke a large Yankee Candle and pushed my leg into it, like we were in a physical altercation, and I had 800 stitches in my knee, and I wound up having emergency surgery. Fortunately, I worked for an orthopedic surgeon at the time. And we called the cops, obviously, and at that point we realized that after I'd had surgery, he had sold all of my jewelry, he had forged checks in my name, he had stolen pain pills from me, and so obviously we got a permanent restraining order put on him, and he's been in and out of jail for the last 7 years. Because of everything I've been through, I have become a better version of myself, and I don't consider myself a victim of domestic violence at all. I consider myself a survivor.
I watched some pretty heinous aggression and violence towards the women in my family at a young age. My stepfather later on in life was convicted of murder, and is currently doing 4 life sentences in prison. So it was a little on the rough side. And I think the biggest problem is people feel trapped in their situations. It's a very empowering thing, I think, to be able to show joy through your pain and show that to other people. I think that's a really, really big deal.
You know, growing up, my parents were always together. So I just initially thought that when you're 16, you meet a boy, you fall in love, and you stay together forever. But I did not know that, you know, overprotecting and, you know, all that was a part of domestic violence. Then I thought, you know, I've got to stay because I've got kids, you know, my parents are together, and I thought that's just what you're supposed to do, you know. So, you know, loyalty can get you in a lot of trouble in different predicaments that you shouldn't be in. I didn't know that someone could actually hurt you in that manner, you know, because you think that person is supposed to love you, and that's supposed to that's supposed to be the way you're supposed to be loved, and it's not. It's not.
So growing up, my mother and father did have a toxic relationship, and I did not know what the difference was between a healthy and an unhealthy relationship. And I remember saying, it will never happen to me, or I'll never let somebody treat me like that. But then I would end up in the same type of relationships. I feel like people feel ashamed. I feel like they're afraid to come forward and get the help that's necessary. I decided to take those struggles that I have been through and use those to empower myself and to empower others. Me getting out was worth it. And even though it can be a struggle some days, it was worth it, and I'll never look back.